Welcome to Demond Does, and today Demond does Wrestlemania Night 1. First of all, I want to give a shout out to all the wrestlers who worked the show. It's really difficult to work a match with no people and no people to interact with. Hats off to everybody who worked. They all worked hard, and it was a pretty fun show. I was pleasantly surprised. Um, I'm just going to go down the list of the matches and we'll go from there. All right. So the first match was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. And I love the Kabuki Warriors character work. Asuka especially, although both Kairi Sane and Asuka looked like they were having fun and they're both tremendous in the ring. They looked like they really enjoyed themselves and were having fun and being dastardly, and it was a good match. One of the things I noticed and I was kind of surprised by was the fact that how they put over Nikki Cross towards the end of the match and after the finish when Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross won the titles, they really talked up Nikki Cross. So hopefully that means more things for the future for her, more ring time, more whatever. Um, so we'll see. The next match was Elias versus King Corbin, and it was okay. I'm not a fan of either. I'm not a fan of Elias really. I never really have been. Although I really liked the fact that he was doing his thing with the guitar, and he was definitely getting over that way. He doesn't work as a good guy for me just yet. King Corbin, however, really works for me as a good guy. He looks ridiculous. He does not try to be liked, even though he has two of the coolest moves in they all end of days and but oh, what is that spinning slam? I'll remember in a minute. But he has a pretty cool moves. He does really athletic things, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. But he's a bad guy who wants to be bad, and he's good at it, or he's better at it. And so I've enjoyed it. Elias won, and there you go. I would rather have Corbin win because it would have made the internet so mad. The next match was Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler, and this for me is when the show began to pick up. They were really laying shots in. You could hear them. You could hear them, the forearms smacking when they're hitting each other, and that makes for a more engaging match for me. It's like, okay, they're really hitting each other. They're really getting into it. I prefer old school traditional matches personally. So, and this has had quite a bit of that. It was just physical. It looked like a fight. I believe that the finish comes with Becky Lynch being Shayna Baszler having Becky Lynch in the rear naked choke, and Becky Lynch back pushing her to the back and then rolling over, and Shayna Baszler's shoulders were pinned to the mat while she had the hold on, which story wise takes her inexperience comparatively speaking into account. It makes Becky seem like the wily veteran, makes Becky look like the wily veteran, which is great. I would have liked to seen Shayna win. I would like to have seen Shayna win because the championship matches could have more. We could have more variety in the championship matches, and we could still have Becky Lynch in her own storyline, doing a looking at kind of making it more introspective and have her go on a kind of a redemption arc, and something similar to what they did with John Cena after he lost to The Rock, where they had the rematch for the twice in a lifetime for the twice in a lifetime. I think Becky Lynch would have done great with something like that. But I don't know what they have in plan and in store for us, because Ronda Rousey is maybe looming soon, so maybe that has something to do with it. The next match was Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan, and go watch it. Just go watch it. They're amazing. You want to learn how to wrestle. You want to learn how to have a good match with with real storytelling. Almost anything you watch with Daniel Bryan is going to be like that anyway. And this was really good, even with and with the additions of Shinsuke Nakamura, who's amazing, Cesaro, who's amazing, who deserves more love, and Drew Gulak, again, another guy who deserves more love. It was great. All the participants that played their parts, and Sami Zayn snuck out with the victory, and I love Sami Zayn in this role. I'm glad he had the time off to save some bumps on his bump card, and hopefully he has the IC title for a long time, because I'd like to see him annoy the people enough that he winds up with a honky tonk man type of run. I would like to see that. I'll be the first. I don't know if I'll be the first person to pitch it, but I will pitch it right now. I haven't heard it anywhere else. So there. The next match was the ladder match. The John Morrison versus Kofi Kingston versus Jimmy Uso. And again, go watch it. Some of the athletic maneuvers that they pulled off were amazing. And I'm just going to give you the highlight. The highlight for me that hasn't been talked about enough. John Morrison walked from turnbuckle across the rope. He tight roped from turnbuckle to turnbuckle, and then did a Spanish fly to Kofi Kingston. For those of you who do not know what that means, is if you've seen the Rock Bottom, instead of doing a Rock Bottom, Morrison did a backflip and basically rock bottomed him from the top rope after doing a tightrope walk. It was awesome. When he started, I was like, oh, please make it. That was amazing. It was great. And the finish, I like the finish. Morrison got punched off as he had both belts. He falls off, lands on a ladder, which had to suck. And had both belts in his hands, so he escaped with the victory. Made sense to me. It worked. The next match was Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. This wasn't one of my favorites. The guys worked hard. The guys worked really hard. I think if they had had people, this would have been a totally different. I would have had a totally different response to it, I believe. And we'll talk about KO's jump. I want to give, people are talking about KO, and he did create a WrestleMania moment. Congratulations to him. But I want to give props out to Seth Rollins. He does not get he's taken a lot of heat, internet heat, for things he said and stuff, and deservedly so sometimes. But him staying there on that table with Kevin with very little room to work with, and him staying on that table and taking it, that's bravery beyond compare. That the dude's a pro, and good on him. The next match was Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. It was short. It was sweet. The right guy won. I'm really curious to see where they go next with Braun Strowman as the champ, and I'm curious to see how they'll threaten how you can threaten somebody that big. It was kind of like when Undertaker was champion as a good guy. Just I'm like, who's going to beat the Undertaker? But they find a way, so we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see who is next, who his first opponent as a champ, first defense will be against. That'll be interesting. And then the last one, the one that everybody was talking about, it's got the internet abuzz. The Undertaker versus AJ Styles in a Boneyard match. And I have been critical of the cinematic matches before. I've seen some bad ones, and it's interesting, they've gotten better as time has gone on. I actually like except for the finish, I like the Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt House of Horrors match, actually, believe it or not. And they did a really good job. The Undertaker, they used all the Undertaker's, hokey superpowers, and, they threw guys off roofs, and it was completely unrealistic, but it was really fun to watch. It was really cool. And sometimes that's just what you need. Sometimes wrestling just needs to be fun, I guess. I would prefer the emotion and wanting, that emotion I had when I was a kid, but it's very rare that happens these days. Maybe it's because everybody knows. I'm not, but I think there are people who could draw that kind of emotion out of people. I think there's still a way to do it. I don't know what that is, but I believe there's still a way to do it, and so we'll see. But that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So yeah, that was night one, and The next video will be night 2. So until then, see it, hear it, speak it, live.